you learn and understand in the military is how to take a hit. You know, life's full of hits. You getting hit all the time. Whenever you get back up on the saddle and you think everything's squared away and you're ready to go back again, you get hit again.
And welcome to another episode of Carpe Diem Living the Podcast. I am your host, Shane Gitmed, and today we have someone by the name of Eric, and he's coming to us all the way from the East Coast today. So welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you for having me, Shane. How are y'all guys?
Doing good. It's definitely a much better day weather-wise in California. So yeah, how's it going over there in the South?
I wish I was in California with a good warm day. It's been 30 degrees, 28 degrees at night. Still actually got a little snow for North Carolina where I'm at in the East Coast. Snow is, it's kind of rare for us. They shut it down with an inch or so, but we got a little bit of snow left on the ground, so it's cold.
Wow. Yeah, when I was living in Georgia near Fort Stewart, it would get pretty cold like that too. And I remember seeing the frost on the grass and like somewhat snow, but not really. It wouldn't be cold enough to stick, but it would definitely flurry a little bit. So yeah. So you are you were in the Marine Corps, which is crazy because I was a military spouse for a long time. So I love meeting other veterans and just hearing about their stories. So you were in for 4 years, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I started out, I had a tough troubled hood. My dad was a rough guy and, it pushed me. My only way to get my dad's love was to win in tournaments and things. So it was like I always had to compete to get love. And I guess that kind of drive and having that aggressiveness matched right up with the Marine Corps. And I used to have two cousins that they were both infantry, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps. And I just stuck to the one in the Marine Corps. And I just looked at him as like a superhero. And then I embodied like the Marine Corps values. And then for years, man, I'd sleep in a military sleeping bag on my bed. I used to listen to Marine Corps cadence tapes front and back every night. And I used to pray to God that I would turn into a Marine and be a good Marine, etc. And, through a tough time, I almost didn't go. And then when everything failed and crumbled, I was like, I got to go. And it actually took me 2 years. I almost didn't get in. And I actually got to get in, man. Thank you to the Marine Corps. I was able to become infantry. I was my squad's designated marksman. So I got to carry a somewhat like a sniper gun. It's a Mark 12. But to be able to do that and see the things go to country, it's been a blessing, man. Everybody says thank you to me. I appreciate that. Thank you for your support. But thank you to the military. Thank you to, the Marine Corps for giving me that opportunity, really.
That's amazing. And, 4 years in the military flies by. I'll tell you that. When you're living that life and you're kind of going back and forth between missions, deployments, and everything in between, just trainings in general to prepare for these missions, it just, boom, it's been years. So where have you been stationed before?
I was actually stationed in Hawaii. I lived in North Carolina. I actually picked East Coast first. I picked Hawaii last. I knew infantry. I was going to go to country and get some, and I didn't want to go over there and not spend no time with my family. And just like the Marine Corps always does, gives you your last pick. So they sent me to Hawaii, and it was a blessing. I was able to get away from family, which hurt in the beginning, but it really allowed me to create a new identity. I didn't have to be that guy. I could be a completely different person. Nobody knew who I was. So in the Marine Corps, if you want to get recognition, you got to be an animal. So you just be an animal. If they want you to yell, you yell louder. If they want you to run, you run faster. If you want recognition and you want praise and you want, somebody to say good job, you max out what you do. And man, Marine Corps, because of that, has caused me to come back to the civilian world and take the same mission and drive and put it down here, put the rubber to the road and let it not all be talk.
I love that because it's so true. I mean, as I know a lot of veterans that were in for, 5 years, 10 years, and of course they all had different experiences. But the one thing that's consistent is being in the military, no matter what branch you've been in, has taught you such amazing values as far as drive, resiliency, situational awareness, all of those things you can apply to civilian life and just feel more prepared, for things if something were to ever go down, right? Even even though I wasn't directly in, but living the lifestyle, it's definitely ingrained some things for me too. So.
Yeah, I think as you hit it right there, and I would love to tell your viewers this. One thing you learn and understand in the military is how to take a hit. You know, life's full of hits. You getting hit all the time. Whenever you get back up on the saddle and you think everything's squared away and you're ready to go back again, you get hit again. And in the civilian world, you might get hit and go to isolation or whatnot. But in the military, I can't stop. So I need to take all of this stress, take a moment, evaluate what's going on, figure out a process and a priority. Figure out your first 1 or 2 steps you got to take right now. Don't worry about the other ones and if they're going to link up and how they link up. Find out your first step and make a move. You know, if it's the wrong move, make the move. Worst thing you can do is get baked in the squat, as Zig Ziglar said, talking about, muffins not quite rising up. They get cooked in the squat. Sometimes we as people get cooked in the squat.
No, that I love that because it's true. Like I just feel like you build such a great strength, and I gotta say, I love the camaraderie between, different military members and family members. I definitely miss that not being near a base because it's just a different sense of like extended family and, brotherhood, and especially when the bosses get together. So I just love the support that you get through the military lifestyle. So how long has it been since you've been out?
It has been maybe about 8 or 9 years or something. And of course, I'd say, the first 4 trying to figure it all out. Again, the military, you got gratification for trying to be the best. In the civilian world, you were getting gratification for trying to do the least. You want to try to get the most amount of money with the least amount of work. The philosophy was just all wrong. It was real hard for me to grasp. I'm figuring all of us were, I guess, similar to me. But, I guess if you don't have that support system we were talking about and the knowledge or the people investing in you, or you're not watching YouTube videos to continue your growth, it's going to be tough for anybody. So for the last couple of years, I just buckled down and watched these videos that I knew were good for me. And every time a Tony Robbins would say who influenced him or gave him inspiration, I'd go find that guy and listen to him and find out who inspired him. And then you go all the way back to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Viewers, if you're listening, go get this book. You can get the audio for free on YouTube, Think and Grow Rich. Once you set up your mindset, you start setting up a plan and it allows you to progress. Get out of that fog of war that you get caught up with in your mind.
Right. And I think mindset in general is just so important to focus on, especially during these really uncertain times, right? Like now more than ever, people really need to emphasize like, wow, take the current situation. What can you do to make sure you come out on top and stay afloat? So I love that you're such a researcher because I'm the same. I like to find whatever I can that's going to help me with my development. And my self-discovery, really. So, but yeah, Tony Robbins, wow. Is going to one of his events on your bucket list?
Yeah, I actually went to a UPW back at 2018, San Jose. And, philosophy boils down to your energy. Your emotion creates emotion. If you get in a higher state, get up there, get pumped up. Once you get pumped up and fired up, you can change a negative mindset to a positive mindset. And then through that, we go through that plan and find that process to make that first step that we were talking about earlier. It was a fantastic event. I'm probably going this year for the virtual event. Guys, if you don't know, I think it's March 4th through March 7th. It's going to be a virtual 3-day thing. They'll send you a workbook. I think it's like $500, but you could bring your family into there and it could be an amazing event for you if you want it to be.
Nice. And what reminds me is, like when you have that mindset of just really being elevated, I'm sure you know of the movie Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Where they do the humming and they're just doing that whole like chant together. That's what it reminds me of. It's like really just pumping yourself up, snapping out of that negative and just, just remembering on like what all of this is for and what's your goal? Where are you trying to go in your life? And I think it's so important too with veterans, when you're transitioning out of the military lifestyle, it can be hard. Like you said, it took you 4 years to figure it out. And I commend you guys because it can be kind of scary. Like you're so used to just this very routine, like, lifestyle, you're being told where to go, where to live, when to report, when you have a mission coming up, to all of a sudden it's like, oh, now what do I do? Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then with no plan, if you don't got anywhere to go, if you're not going up this mountain, unfortunately you're going down it.
Oh my gosh. But Hawaii, you got really lucky going there.
Yeah.
Wow, I can only imagine.
But on the other hand, in Hawaii, a lot of lava rocks, because we were on another island, we would do probably a couple extra setups before we would go over to California and do our big run. So I felt like we got double taxed. But if you talk to the other Marines, they'll tell you we got it lucky because we could walk around in board shorts and flip-flops.
That's awesome. Because I know it's very common to meet people in the Marines when you're like in San Diego, because 29 Palms is down there. Yeah. I know someone right now where her partner is in New Mexico due to the Marines. So it's kind of interesting to see the different places, because I know with every branch it's different. I've gone a little mix of everything. I've lived in the desert in Texas. I've gone to Georgia, which I love the South, huge fan of South. So I'm really jealous, actually. I wish I was like in one of the Carolinas right now, because I'm telling you, sometimes like I love California. This is where I'm from. But man, like once you've lived in different places, like you said, all the opportunities you get because of the military, it's like you really cherish those experiences. And I really liked what you mentioned earlier on, you can go somewhere completely different and just be who you want to be. You can reinvent yourself. You can transform, right? So like I've noticed a lot of people that I know that are still in my hometown, because I'm currently back in my hometown. And they're kind of not to knock on them or anything, but it's like, how can you like really not just figure out who you are fully, but grow when you've kind of been in the same bubble your whole life, right?
Absolutely. Crazy that you said that is, I went away and tried to, I was looking for finding my way. I was looking to help the people, and I was using things like guiding people hunting and fishing as like an instrument to get to the person. So I ended up moving up there closer to the water. And now here I'm in transition back down to my hometown spot with all of that experience and knowledge that I've got from around. But we were talking earlier, big part is your environment, because of your environment, it conditions you. And your conditions will be your values and beliefs and how you see the world. And whatever environment you're in, if you got one little space, create that one little space so you can have that one little environment. I'm in a mastermind course that I just got in. And the first thing is create a 3-minute audio listening of you saying I am. I'm a victor. I've gotten through all of my struggles. I've got plenty of money. I have an abundance of love and relationships. And you'll do that for 3 minutes and listen to that in the morning and in the evening. And scientifically, hearing your own voice says that doing that in your head, it does something neurologically. And that could be a great thing for others to do. So I'm excited about doing this twice a day. I can only imagine the effects that are going to come from this.
I love that. And I've never done that myself. And I'm actually going to take that tip, because sometimes when even when I'm a podcast host, right? But sometimes when I listen to my own videos, I'm like, cringe a little bit. So I think if I like got used to listening to my own voice and the I am affirmations, so powerful. 100% agree. If you were to give any tips to anyone, I guess if they really wanted to start working on their mindset, like from the beginning, what would you recommend from your standpoint?
Find what you love. Start with your strength. Start with the fire. You can't go keep blowing all your breath on coals. That ain't gonna, a small breeze on a fire can create a fire that can burn down the wilderness. I would say find out, what you're good at, what your technique is, and really find your focus. I think focus is it. Similar to the magnifying glass, if we can take all of our thoughts and try to focus them into that direction, that first step. I think that's the key, is figuring out your first step. If I said, you're going to get $1 million tomorrow if you took your next step, what would that next step be? If I didn't say the million, you'd be like, I got all of these excuses and, this and that. But if I told you life or death, or you'd be a millionaire if you had to do that, could you get it done? And you'll be like, oh, absolutely. 100%. I could get 3 weeks worth of work in 1 week so I can go on that vacation to the Caribbean. There's no doubt I can do it. But you know, without that incentive or without that future goal, future plan, you're like, man, I can't get through this. 3 weeks ain't enough time. This is at least 6 weeks worth of work. And I think once you change your focus and you start looking at the long-term goal, you can get hit, right? And it don't matter because, you know, you're headed to your goal and you're going to get hit. And then once you get up there, you know, you'll be able to throw your rope down and help others get up to your level. And then as you're doing this, other people will drop their rope and it'll become a community where we all help each other.
That is so, gosh, you have so much wisdom. I'm loving this right now. Yeah. Yeah. For me, like, I just love meeting other people that really are laser focused. They know where they want to go and just not letting any excuses fall into the cracks, right? Because time and time again, you're in charge of your destiny, right? Like, you are projecting what you want in this world. So we all have a responsibility to ourselves, to, you know, our dependents, you know, where we want to head in our life. So I think that's beautiful. So you mentioned the I am recording. Are there any other exercises you do on a daily basis that help you stay focused, stay positive throughout your day, your weeks?
You have to see it. If you don't, out of sight, out of mind. I learned that as a kid. If you don't see these goals in front of you, how can you visually think and connect the dots to obtain these things? One big thing that I've got going right now is expo boards. You know, I went on Amazon and you can get adhesive to go right on your wall, $20. It's like 24 inches by 60 inches. I mean, it's a big piece, and you can have expo boards all over the place. And now you got an expo board that says vision goals, you know, for 6 months or for the year. So whenever you get them short-term hit, it's okay because you're looking for the long-term goal. And then you need to have another expo or another list that you can write down weekly things that you got to do or who you need to call. I think writing it down. I went to firefighting academy, and luckily I graduated number 1 in my class. And, you know, at that time I was working on leadership for me personally, and these guys were working on themselves, you know, being new firefighters, and I was able to lead the guys. And one thing I learned was always have pen and paper. Always, whenever that thought comes out or whatever that you said, I'll remember, write it down. And then as you write it down, keep looking at that list. The more you look at that list, the more you'll figure out subconsciously how you're going to do consciously and tackling that situation. I'd say another tip would be get you a piece of paper. Well, we don't have to nowadays. Get your phone, get a good app, and take that note as soon as you get it. You know, don't rely 100% on your brain. It is a fantastic thing, but it's remembering and doing so much. You know, write it down.
It's funny because I had a memory pop into my mind when you mentioned the pen and paper, because my ex-husband did that. Like, of course, and I feel like it's such a military thing. In his uniform, in one of his pockets, anytime he had this little like notepad and just would write stuff down. So I didn't even think of like what the real importance was. I just thought, okay, they're just always trained to be prepared for anything, right? And I'm such a tech person where like, instead of writing it down, I'm like, hey Siri, make a note, blah, blah, blah. So,
but as long as you take the notes, you know. I was hanging out with somebody the other day, and he was like, man, I got it in here. And I was like, you got to get it on this. You got to get it on this. This right here is going to slip, man. We're planning on having 10 or 100 more ideas today. You know what I mean? We're going to be talking about all kinds of things. And as we have ideas about, you know, different categories, you just write them things down in them different categories. And as you structure it down, I feel like on paper or on those expos, it'll actually structure it in your head. And I think by it being structured like that, you can go in and tackle one task instead of it being all jumbled together and you really can't grasp a concept or your next step, really. So I think the expos are going to be there so you can group and focus it so you can take that next step for that group. Yeah,
it's true, because there's people that I know where they'll start things and not finish them. Or in the moment they feel super inspired, but then it goes down and because they didn't write it down. So I really think that if it's something that you're serious about, like really pursuing, definitely pen to paper or to Siri, something, whatever works for you, just so it's, you know, it doesn't get forgotten. So I think that's a really, really great tip. Do you do like vision boards? Like, do you go that far out where you like put like pictures together and like, I know some people do that with like magazines, but are you more of a visual person with that too?
I have done it before, and you know, then I have gotten off of it, and because again, go back to, you know, I know it in my head, And now I'm getting turned back in. I got into this mastermind that goes back to getting that environment right. So right now I am, yes, vision boards, writing it all down. I want to see it every day. Find that picture of you whenever you look successful or you are knocking it out. Take that picture, blow it up, and put it in your room. You know, you need to be seeing yourself knocking it out of the park. You know, for you, you know, your best podcast. You know, I put it on and somehow play it on low repeat throughout the day or something. Just something that's like, man, you know, I was killing it then and I'm killing it now. I think as soon as you start to realize, like, we all struggle, we all have imposter syndrome. You know, once we start realizing, like, the progress is going to create the energy, that momentum, and that momentum is so fierce, you know, once it compounds, you know, nobody can hold it back. But you got to be focused and diligent to get, like, that tight ball first. You can't just go push a small ball that ain't compressed and think it's going to build mass and go all the way down this hill. It'll stop and never build. But if you get a real tight focus, real tight mashed up with your values, your beliefs, what you truly, really want in life, and as you smash and bash it, and you're getting these podcasts in you, and you're reading these books, and you're mashing it all down, I think once you start doing that, you're going to create a momentum that the people around you, they're going to start momentum. There's going to be a landslide, boy. What do they call a glacier, boy? Everybody's going to be covered up with this stuff.
I love that. And gosh, like, I feel so pumped up right now just speaking to you. I'm just like, so fun after this. Have you ever thought about being a motivational speaker or a coach of some sort? Because I think you have it.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I am, and I went to the Tony Robbins coaching course, and you know, I've coached. I haven't put it in the internet, my online identity, and here it is, 2021. It's a big swing. warriorsonfire.com, and I'm just going to create these videos. This is going to be some of my first content for the online people. I spent a long time for this knowledge, man. I have hours and hours, thousands of dollars to process, chew it all up. And then I feel like not a lot of people got all this time. But if I go and process and chew it up, you know, all you're getting is concentrate. You know, I want you to deliver things. I don't want you to like that watered down. Like you're going to find one thing out today and then speak 30 minutes and, you know, fast forward and trying to figure out that one thing. I want to hit you with 100 things. You know, you're writing them down. You're going back and re-listening to it. I want to create like a concentrate for the people because we all deserve it, man. I think we all got the power. Somebody will just stand behind you and tell you that you're doing a good job and just like, hey, you know, you fell a little short today. Just make sure you pick it up tomorrow and we're going to be good.
Yeah, that's like basically an accountability coach, right? Just someone that's always cheering for you, making sure you stay on top because, I mean, of course, we're all in different life situations. And when you have that type of person in your right pocket, so many things are possible, right? Like, I don't know where I would be without all of my mentors. Like that pushed me to even do shows like this. If you would have asked me like 2 years ago, I would have been like, you're crazy. I'm not recording anything for the internet. Cause I used to be really, really shy to like talking to people is not the issue. It's more so like recording it and then people can just like watch it at any time. But so yeah.
Creating content that has value that, you know, that your listeners can hear to inspire them, to pump them up and motivate them. You know, here you are making a difference.
Right.
It's the ripple effect. Even one drop in a pool is felt on all the shores. You know, I mean, what you're doing is impacting. And then only thing is, compounding is something great. By you impacting one life, it's impacting their lives, which impacts their lives, which impacts their life. I mean, you're talking about impacting millions of people that you never even knew by coming out online and creating this value for people. So first, thank you for having a platform that I can come share my experience with.
Absolutely. And the most amazing thing, which I'm sure you believe in law of attraction and all of that good stuff. Yeah. When I started this show, my mission was if even one person heard anything, even like my own personal episode, which is episode 1, great, right? Like, cause you never know how it's going to impact others. And here we are, not even a year later, and we're in 19 countries. Wow. Amazing. Wow. Like, so that's why I love doing this. This definitely doesn't feel like work at all to me. And I meet amazing people like you. So I hope the show goes on forever. So thank you so much for
100%. And the crazy part is if the show stopped now, that content's good forever. You know, knowledge doesn't go in or out. You know, there's nothing new underneath the sun. All of this knowledge has been here. And just being here don't mean it ain't powerful. This stuff is powerful, but it's powerful today. Old knowledge ain't powerful. It's today's knowledge that's powerful. Like, you gather it up all around and use that to take that first step. Super powerful.
Oh, love that. And I'm sure when COVID opens up and we can do like in-person events, I'm sure I can totally vision you doing a speech like live with a bunch of people in the room. I just think you really have that aura, even though we're obviously not in the same place, but I feel your energy and it's very uplifting. So I got to give you that. Definitely. So is there any other tips that you think our listeners should know if someone's just really just wanting to just like say, today's the day, I want to jump up and tackle this? One more awesome tip that you can share.
I would say take imperfect action. Whatever that is, whatever your next step or your next goal is, whatever the next thing you're supposed to do, find it out so you can get intense about it and then take that next step. And then while you're at it, start building up your environment. Put some stuff on your wall that makes you feel good. Put the pictures of you, in a peak state where you were killing it in life. If you published a book or published a poem, hang it up, put a little light on it with candles glowing, create the environment that's going to create the creativity.
I feel like you must have a lot of things on your wall then, as far as like motivational, just different things as reminders.
Absolutely.
I need to get on that. I have some things, but I could definitely use more.
I think we all can.
Yeah. And I'm definitely going to stay tuned for when you have everything, all of your videos and everything online. I would love to share it amongst our audience because I think, like I said, mindset is so big, especially right now. And it's never too late to get started on just rewiring your mind just to get in the right place. So where can our listeners find you online if they want to connect with you, ask you questions? Where can they, shoot you a message?
Yes, ma'am. You can catch me on Facebook. If you go to warriorsonfire.com, it'll get you to all of the different avenues and everything. I want to get us all on fire. I feel like this passion will get us exactly where we want to go.
Amazing. And I have, according to like astrology and everything, fire is in my element. So I'm all for that. Let's get on fire together.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again for listening today. It has been a pleasure to have Eric on the show, and I hope you all had a blast just as much as I did. And you can definitely catch Eric online. All of his links and information will be below, and we will catch you all next time. Thank you all again.
Thanks. Thank you, Shane.